See, it's a shame because I was going to hit the button, but I got busy telling my phone to shut up twice because it's
Hmm.
just not been responding to my
Yeah,
inputs. But
you're so close to trying to
yeah,
catch me off guard, but no,
yeah.
I
Did you
I was
see me
aware.
watching the clock?
Yes, I
So
did.
yeah, because
You had
I'm like
too
crap.
happy.
It's yeah, we're like face to face practically. So it's like she knows where my eyes are when I'm not making eye contact. So
Yeah, there's no one else to look at more or less to
right.
get anything.
Not to mention that's probably like second nature to girls, right? Making sure that when the guys are breaking eye contact, they know where those eyes are going. So,
Mm,
but yeah,
hmm.
yep.
So
Andreas isn't here, so we're gonna have to introduce the topic. So,
the topic is vague. The topic is kind of we're chatting about factions and what the factions might be doing and interesting thoughts of that the information that they might have and what they might be doing. And then we kind of specifically got tied to 12 months again because we really, really, really want to
I'm
know what's
sorry, but it's
happening.
all we've got, man.
I
You
know.
know,
I know. Unless you want to go back to casting for the 30th time. We're going to
right?
speculate on
Well, I
factions.
mean, we're definitely on the 30th month of talking about 12 months, which is ironic, but yeah,
Time is fluid. It doesn't
yeah.
necessarily make sense.
It just what kind of got us on it is like we were talking a little bit about the factions and what they were doing and what we might have been doing in their shoes. So it's a little bit of second guesses again. And then we were like, well, what if we broke it down month by month? Like when does 12 months start? Like, are we starting in January or are we starting in June-ish when they struck the deal? So because that makes more sense because Mab is absolutely watching the clock on that. She's like, did you know that a year is precisely X number of seconds? Like, that's Mab. She's counting it,
Yeah.
so, yeah, so yeah,
So she was pushing for what Harry and Laura to get married by like the next day. And then
right.
everyone pounced on her and said, no, it has to have a courtship period. And so she said a year, I'm pretty sure. I wonder if she did the special thing of a year and a day or something.
Right. I was thinking that too. Like a year
But
and a day, it comes right off. So, yeah.
yeah. But Peace Talks Battleground happened in, I believe, June, because it was certainly Summer's domain when the Titan was attacking in order to have Mab at her weakest. So it might have been just before the solstice, if going off of the idea of summer night, because that changeover of the stone table, that's when Mab was at her weakest right then. Um, so if 12 months starting basically at the end of that conversation, we go through summer, fall, winter, spring, and then summer is supposed to be the wedding, which is a lot of people get married in summer. It's very normal time, but it also again puts Mab and winter at the weakest of the year, at least in that hemisphere, uh, to have this all important wedding that is a gigantic alliance. I assume Sarissa will be at the wedding, but I wonder if Titania will show up.
She's going to send an emissary unless Mab is there, then she kind of has to be there for balance, right? So,
Mab has to be there.
yeah. Mab's officiating. She's the one she's wearing a suit, right? And
She's giving away the bride.
right. Yeah.
Oh God,
Well,
no! It
she's giving
probably
away
was.
the groom. Like, imagine
Yes, yeah.
Dresden in a dress being walked down the aisle. So, like, we all know
Paparazzi would
who.
still probably be there as a puppet and completely
Yeah.
because the fiction that everyone can see through is still matters to Lara. So of course he will be there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that'll be interesting. Um, Yeah, there's just so much because it's like if it starts directly after peace talks, which makes sense, if it starts in June, then we've got, at least 6 months of Harry wallowing still, right? As much as anything, because it's like what my argument against that initially was we already know what's happening in December because that's when good people and what's the other one?
The Good
Just
Folk
Chris.
and Christmas Story,
Yeah. So,
Christmas Eve. But then we also do know like the law took place. I think in was it either late summer or early fall, like kind of the August September time, and
right.
little
That sounds
people or
right.
little things happened not very far after Battleground because Harry was still nearly comatose.
Right.
And The Fugitive would have happened also probably around a September timeframe in
It definitely felt like fall. So,
yeah,
but
uh, they didn't want to bother Harry with the idea that Mister had just gone crazy, so they were trying to let him sleep and recover. Uh, but Maggie was in school, so that's
gotcha.
a bigger. I don't know. So we know a bunch of things that happen, and these could just be small mentions off in the background of like, oh yeah, and then Mister destroyed Michael's truck, and
Right.
we don't need to know about it. Similar to like the reference to backup that happened in Cold Days of Harry saying
Right.
there was this woman and a kid, and I get here and it wasn't even her kid, and it's like what happened here? And
Right. Yeah. I want a quip of Michael either borrowing the van or taking the bus or something like that, right? Like that's the only quip we need is like, hey, Michael's still taking the bus, like
yeah, still probably the van because
right.
I mean I public transport is just uncomfortable.
Michael's man enough for it. So
That's true.
yeah. And I mean, it's Chicago, so train, depending on, where the rail lines run for, compared to the castle and whatnot. But yeah, I guess he's going to need something to haul the tools if he's still renovating the castle. But,
Hmm.
like, and depending on where all of that falls in the time frames and stuff. But like, to me, so all of that aside, right? We've got little mileposts, if nothing else, and whatever. But one of the big things that comes to my mind that's going to happen during that time is his birthday.
Yeah,
So what's going on with that? Is Laura going to bake him a cake, or is, like somebody going to take a shot at him? Is there's a major event, right? There's almost always a major event
yeah.
on his
Thinking of
birthday.
this, the timeline, especially as leading into Mirror Mirror, I have always assumed Mirror Mirror would kick off Halloween. And
Right.
so my initial assumption is 12 months would go from Halloween to Halloween.
Sure.
Um, but that it doesn't seem to line up with at least Mab's diktat. So yes, the birthday is going to be something significant.
Mhm.
Um, it's easy to think of it. Someone's going to take a shot at him. Someone's going to try to take his mask or mantle, or he's going to have to do something like that with someone else. Laura definitely is going to have to give him some form of a gift. And I'm guessing that this might be the point where it's going to be something actually thoughtful and not just rote, because he's going to, that I think at the transition point where he's going to start thinking of her as not an enemy as much. As much as
Well,
they've
yeah, but
worked
she's still a
together.
succubus. So,
Yes,
I
but
mean,
that
it's
might
still
be the
going to be
point
like,
where where you expect of like her actual feelings are going to start showing through.
I mean, I'm a fan of that because like I said, I personally I think she's caught legitimate feelings for him, but I guess we'll see, we'll see how that
I
plays
mean,
out and whatever, but yeah.
if she does, and if by the point that they have to consummate the marriage, she gets burned by him and
Right. Oh
whatever, like,
shit. Oh my god, that would be a hilarious reveal, right? Because it's like he's avoided her this whole time and then it's like their wedding night and it's like, "Ow, shit."
I
And
mean,
they're like,
so
"Oh
he's still
fuck."
protected from Murphy,
Right.
because he burned her in Battleground a couple of times.
Gotcha.
But if somehow he loses that, which that would also be very hard. But if
Still
she
Halloween. Just kidding. I mean, look, some hotties jumping out of a cake is all I'm saying. That's,
totally could
Mr.
be.
President. Yeah.
Well, yeah, on one previous birthday, he had Maeve Vajazzled dancing in front of him, but he's used to refusing all of that. Yeah, that'd be weird. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think Harry would be able to handle even an unwilling courtship with Laura and also having side action.
No, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be pushed on him, right? I'm not saying, like maybe he even doesn't succumb or whatever, but
I don't. I mean,
I just don't see like again, I feel like we've talked about this in previous episodes and previous discussions on this. Even if it's not Lara's doing, maybe somebody else in her house, since they know how all of this works, maybe it's Mab. Maybe Mab is sending him sexy
well,
telegrams, just try it
maybe
because
Mab
she
takes away
knows.
his protection herself.
Well, yeah, Like, Mab's like, "It's not even our first time, Harry. Let's do it,"
Exactly.
you know? Yeah. Gotta make sure you're ready for Lara, so, you know.
You will not disappoint.
Right.
Oh god. Mm, this
This
is
is
an
just gonna get
unsafe
more crass if
topic.
I continue this, yeah, because I'm like, she's also Winter, man, so it's like anyway, yeah. If he can perform in those conditions, he can perform at any time, so, but
Mhm.
yep, okay, so anyway. So the point is, so we know the protection's in play. If that's the case, somebody's got to try and work it free one way or another. We know what that's going to involve. Mab has the most reason to do that, assuming, like what we were talking about, are they only doing the union as a political move? And does that require an heir? Because he's a knight, he's not a king. It's not like uniting the kingdoms. He's a minor vassal. So does that still require the heir?
I mean, in a lot of contexts, it would. I just don't know if that applies to
Right.
supernatural. I don't know if it applies to
They're
white
old
court
timey though.
either. They
Yeah.
are old-timey, but she's a
Right.
white court succubus, and
Think
I
about
don't
it from
even
Mav's perspective though. Like Lara could give a crap, right? Not to mention the fact that Lara is probably painfully aware that it's going to be exceedingly difficult to have a child,
yeah,
because that's another part of the mix, right? Like, you
yes.
know, not
It
only
doesn't
was
happen very
Thomas a
often.
fluke, he was a fluke that survived, so he's a double fluke, like
Well
because all of his other brothers got killed. So
well,
I
not
don't
not only that, I
imagine
mean,
that's going to happen in this case, but I'm just saying, they're supposed to be rare.
so Thomas asserted that it is very rare for a white court to even procreate
Mhm.
because of the damage of the phobophage.
Right.
Phobophage? Phage,
No.
whatever, I'm calling it phage.
Yeah. The
Um,
demon.
yeah,
So,
and so that's why he was so terrified of for Justine. But we
right.
do see that Papa Wraith had what, like 20 kids at
Just
least?
means it just means he was busy,
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah,
hundreds of
he was
years and
super busy.
yeah.
But also the I wonder if it's a effect of the white court being the father versus the mother. Because if we have not officially seen, oh wait, no, we have. Chezarina had a child. Never mind. But how extreme is it for a white court to actually give birth? Because the phages would be fighting each other.
Right. Okay. Unknown, I guess, so
Yeah. And and whatever other types of extreme might need to be taken for a child to be successful. We might find out if an heir is required in this deal. They will go into it. Like he might need to do some
right,
extra things, or she might need to be feeding a lot more, which all of this makes sense. But
right.
we haven't seen it, and it is certainly going to make Justin uncomfortable.
Sure. Well, but so all of the supernatural weirdness aside and everything, part of the reason why it comes to mind is like I've got it in the back of my mind that for, a more medieval mindset, Mab came to power in 1066 and all of that stuff, right? Does the marriage count before it's consummated, right? Because I thought that was part of the point, is that you had to be consummated in order for it to count officially, and that's why you had all of these other rituals, which I think if and we don't need to get into the details and whatever. So
Yeah.
obviously some of that's not going to apply in Lara's case, right? Because she's a sex vampire, but
Right. No,
you know
but I do think that consummation is going to be a sticking point. It's going to be
right.
crucial because in the
And that's
same
why
way
it's
that
like from there, does it matter that there's an error? Is Mab
so
going to put pressure on that? Which is after 12 months technically, but I was still curious about that, because if that is the case, maybe Mab's over there giving him an elbow and just be like, come on, 6 more months, you're gonna bring it. So, but
mm,
hope you're ready next week to perform your husbandly duties.
here's a bunch of blue little
So
pills. They're even winter colored just for you.
right. Yeah.
Uh,
Well, and I mean, like maybe that's when she starts applying the pressure where it's like, the girl jumps out of the cake and she's like, you've got to do this in like 6 more months, right? So I'm
oh,
just trying to get you ready.
here's
So
another uncomfortable topic. Molly. I mean, as she has said, she wants. Yeah, I'm not saying that. But I find it uncomfortable to think about because every single time Dresden has had the thought, he's been uncomfortable with it. He does not want Molly that way,
Yeah.
but she has to make this wedding happen. That's
Yeah.
been tasked to her.
I feel for the girl, but I'm going to tell you there's a long list of people who don't care. You know, like
Oh yeah,
that's her problem.
it
Always
is.
has been, right? She's got the feelings, she's been rebuffed, she's held on to the feelings, and she's still got feelings. And so it's like you can feel for her because that's a tremendous, you know, weight to carry around and whatever, but at the same time like that's a her problem, you know, like
It absolutely
yeah.
is, but now it's going to become Dresden's problem because in the discussion of he needs to lose the protection from Murphy, wouldn't he prefer someone he trusts?
Oh Jesus, you're gonna be like that. Well, so the worst part about that is like, is it feasible that Mab could give her the order? You know, like
I mean, yeah,
so.
she might not be able to because out of cold case at all. He
That's
might still be
true.
under the
Yeah,
same problem, but I'm
yeah,
sure she's going to have the discussion.
yeah. So
Yeah,
okay, I'm gonna
how far
say
does
I'm gonna
the
give it a
sexual
pass because
contact
of the
need to
cold case
go to
thing.
remove the protection? Because Murphy, it wasn't a full. Fuck, I don't want to get demonetized. Right? It was an exchange of love between them, and there was contact, but it wasn't the whole thing because she was not capable.
That's fair.
So it might not need to be as much.
So anyway, yeah, demonetized or uncomfortable. I'm just saying, like, you know, so it does he really need to write another plot driven sex scene, like, you know. So just say we got a little bit into the weeds for this one, but you know.
What else
Okay,
do we
so other
have?
factions, you know, other factions.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, unless we're going to spend the next 40 minutes writing a smut novel, I'm just saying, like, we can go back to being a little vague. So some someone's going to have to pause this
Fade to black.
episode and,
Fade to black.
you know, yeah, right.
Okay. Yeah, other factions. So I just summer. My brain goes back to summer. Of I
Okay,
assume Titania will be there if Mab will be there, especially if it's happening
sure.
in summer. That
Oh, it'd
there's
be
a
so
sense.
funny. Sorry, I just had a scene pop into my head where like Titania shows up, but she's wearing like all black with the veil and everything because she's in mourning because she's like, you shouldn't be getting married, you should be dead. What is going on here? You know. So anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Um, but it's just it's in. I still think about the discussion, very very short conversation that Mab and Titania had. Mab complimenting Titania on her kindness, and Titania relating back to duty. They do have shared duties, I guess, about how to protect the mortal world.
Say duty one more time,
Duty.
but also respect for each other and stuff like that.
Mhm.
You know. Yeah.
And I wonder in which mask or entity Vadarung would be there. Would he be there as Vadarung or would he be there as Kringle? Well, it can't be. He could be there as Kringle, but he can't be a Santa Claus.
That's a good question. Or would he be there as yeah. I don't know.
Well, maybe he'll be there 3 times. He'll be there as Vadarung, and then he'll be there as Kringle during the Wild Hunt, and then he'll be there as Santa in the winter.
The Wild Hunt precedes, oh my god, that's the bachelor party. It's the Wild Hunt.
Yeah,
So
got to blow off some steam.
yeah.
That makes a lot of
Okay.
sense.
So so Kringle and the Earl King host the yeah, it sucks that Thomas is gonna miss that. That's terrible. Andy can't be the best man. Who's gonna be the best man?
It better. I mean, oh my god, if they can get Thomas out, because obviously it
Michael's gonna
would
be the
be.
best man.
I was going to say, it's either Michael
So,
or Billy, so.
yeah.
But it's their shared brother being the best man.
What do you mean?
Because it's Harry's brother, but it's Laura's brother.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It
He
is
should
just
have been
Well,
maid of honor, is that what you're
you
saying?
Yeah, right.
The
Do a
bar girl.
weekend at Bernie's where they just bring the crystal in and stand it up in the corner and be like, "Yeah, Thomas was here." So,
Hmm. Well, he could have been officiant, and that way that would have saved on both of it.
right. I expect Mab or somebody of Mab's choosing is going to do that. I see Mab
Molly.
bringing the suit back from Summer Night. That's all.
Oh,
So,
she's totally gonna wear the suit.
yeah.
That just seems like her. But I Mab officiating makes a lot of sense because it was her deal. Forcing Molly to officiate would also make a lot of sense because again, it's her
Oof.
deal, and
Yeah,
and Molly gets to have that dumb joke. Because I married my best friend today to someone else.
right.
Or have Leah do it because she's a romantic.
Oh,
That just makes it triply awkward if Molly is, had to
Hmm.
break the seal, prior to that, like you were suggesting. So
Well, yeah, it's either they
this
either
is
take a
much
very
different.
hands-on approach, and it's going to be one of those three, or it'll have to be some neutral arbiter between the two factions,
Ivy.
for
Right.
Oh
Yeah.
instance.
fuck, Ivy.
Yeah,
Because she's at the Accords. That
yeah,
also makes
sure,
a lot of
why not?
sense.
What about Marcone? He's a baron,
He is a baron. I'm sure he owns a ship somewhere, so he could definitely marry people.
right?
Yeah, he probably owns one of the casino ships.
Well, yeah. Lara has her own destroyer, though. Does she bring the Navy captain in to?
Yeah, the senator.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Oh my god. See, of course Marcone is going to have to be present because he's the Baron of Chicago.
yeah.
If, but Marcone absolutely knows that this is two people who are his enemies teaming up, not with him.
Ooh. Yeah. It's tough because I mean I see your angle and that sort of thing, but he feels like he's got Harry pegged. So yeah, like yeah, you're no, that's a really compelling thing that we haven't really talked about because he's basically in a shadow war with Lara right now.
Yeah, they
And
are competing on
he
territory.
definitely cat's paws Harry and to the point where he had certain magical bullets made just in case Harry decided to try and do something, and he needed them. So he's definitely ready to straight out murder Dresden.
Okay,
But
so
yeah,
the
now they're
cat's pawing
teaming
of
up.
Harry is one thing
Yeah.
that Harry's going to resent. But if maybe Marcone's in charge of the bachelor party,
Ooh,
and if he gives Harry some
someone gonna
amount of
die.
power or protection against Lara, maybe not on the feeding, I don't know, something of like, here's something to use against her if she gets out of line.
He's Marcone's not gonna take a shot. He's not an idiot. And he
No, he's
knows
going
that
to give a
taking a shot.
gift to someone who's getting married, and that gift
Yeah.
is going to be some form of either protection or weapon to use against Lara that uh, Dresden might need to use. And Dresden's going to be the point to see that, oh, he married a monster. This monster's getting out of line.
Eh, I don't know. I'm not following you. I don't hate the idea, but I'm not following you. But the part that made me think that he's not going to take a shot, but it's going to hurt him a lot is the fact that he doesn't want to cheese off Mab. And Mab mostly doesn't care if Harry goes off and gets himself murdered, but I'm not sure if that extends to the wedding. Like she might be pretty cheesed off if somebody fucks with the wedding.
I don't.
So,
Matt is no, hold on. Marcone is smart enough not to fuck over the wedding,
yeah,
but Marcone also knows that Mab wants Harry alive. He needs to be smart enough to keep himself alive, but
right.
he can indebt Mab to him. Marcone can indebt Mab to Marcone by doing something of a protection to Harry against Laura. And making
Maybe
sure
I
that it
don't
happens.
I feel like the wedding, like I feel like if Harry needed protection from Laura, that's Harry's problem, right? I feel like that's where Mab would see it. It'd be like, you are Winter Court. This is you got to work this out. I feel like that's one of those things where it's like if one of her vassals murdered Harry, she'd be cheesed off about it, but she'd be like, good play, you get a promotion, get out of my fucking sight or something like that. So I don't know if she'd be so worried that Harry can't handle Laura. And yeah, that's part of where I don't follow, but maybe Marcone tries, maybe Marcone, but like what would he give him? Like what magical secret weapon would take out a white court vampire?
It doesn't necessarily need to be a weapon to kill Lara. Harry's capable of that. Maybe it's something that would be a magical protection against the feeding. I'm not sure about that. That would also allow him to not be burning Lara, so that the consummation can happen, but he's safe. He's not being fed on.
He's gonna give Harry one of those rubber suits so that
I was gonna say that's gonna be a pretty convenient artifact and or spell
It
to
would be.
introduce
Yeah,
in order to make that happen. That he could keep his protection, but also consummate the marriage, but also then they don't ever have to have sex again because he'll be still protected.
Yeah, why do you have this, and why is it in my size? Like, those are two disturbing questions.
How did you find this information? How old is this?
Why does it fit like a glove?
Oh my god.
Yeah. So anyway.
The real question is, who does Harry have sex with to get rid of the protection before he has sex with Lara?
That was a huge discussion. You missed
the first 20 minutes where we got
you dirty-minded humans.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the director had many ideas on the subject. I just suggested there might be a cake, but
were any of them Lucio to make Andreas happy?
No.
God,
none.
no.
Because that seems like the easiest route to take. I mean, just like to have a casual one-night fling with.
No, the discussion was around Molly and how far she'd have to take it to break the protection. So, that was
capable, or Mab herself.
Well, I was going to say, in order for Harry to break the protection, he'd probably have to take it far enough where he woke up broken, like Ramirez did.
Well, and that's where we pulled it back a little bit. But, the counterpoint there was that we're not sure that he and Murphy ever actually did the deed.
Fully.
Just that they did adjacent, like, what, third base? Is that what that is? Is that what the kids say? But,
you know what? I'm not a kid anymore. I have no idea.
I was pretty sure they went all the way after the, with the cast and everything. That was the whole, you can still, I'm not a China doll. We can do this.
Gotcha.
Well,
which is why he was again, sort of re-upped.
Well, we'll see.
Because I don't think third base is enough.
Terrible suggestion, because like what I had suggested to Wally is that at least it would be someone that he trusts.
Like, unless Lucio got mind whammied again, I don't see it happening, guys. So
yeah, there's that too, but also the faction part of it, as this is someone who has been excommunicated from the White Council, is marrying a monster of the White Court, is a monster of the Winter Court. Why would Lucio get any closer to him? Even if she cares.
She likes to live dangerously,
She does.
I imagine she's one of like 2 or 3 people in the council who's probably still would talk to him at least a little bit. Her, Rashid, listens to Wind.
You know what? I'm really curious what McCoy's going to say about it all.
Nothing good. What he's going to say, he's going to drop a fucking satellite on the ceremony. That's what he's going to say about it.
I know. I was like, it's crazy because I'm starting to think, like, are some of these guys going to go from minor antagonist to major antagonist over this thing? Like, is Marcone going to take a whack at them? Is McCoy going to take a whack at them? Even after he killed Dresden and regretted it, would he go further again? Or I kind of feel like I'd almost expect him to cool it a little bit and just be like, boy, I tried to warn you, so you can't come crying to me this time,
I think he's going to be kind of in like Dresden wallow mode, where he's just kind of going to be off drinking and whatever.
I think he'll be in the party, the bridal groomsman.
I very much doubt that. The only way that happens, like that he's an active part of this, is if he has a complete change of heart and comes to Dresden. And even then, I think Dresden's going to be like, is he just doing this so that he can smush her on the altar?
Yeah, well, would he be there? Would he be there in the flesh to protect Harry if something broke out, or is he the guy kicking in the doors? Like, yes, I object to this fucking wedding, and now Harry's in the awkward state again of like
that kind of objection. You do so at the wrath of Mab. I mean, like that has to be a serious objection, like bigamy, which presumably neither one of them have a problem. Harry's not been married before. Laura has been married briefly, she said. Unlikely that this is a
That guy didn't
problem.
survive the night. That's why
Mm-mm.
briefly. Yeah.
Yeah. But like this would have to be a violation of some form of accorded or fey law for anyone to have a serious objection. I kind of hope someone does it though.
I mean, to be fair, if anybody's going to kick in the door, not really giving a shit about any of that, it's going to be McCoy.
Right.
Both in his role and in his personality.
Like, does McCoy get dogpiled by a bunch of winter, that are there to provide security? Probably. Does he fucking do it anyway? You're goddamn right.
Does he do it anyway? Does he blow them all away with a hand wave and then do it anyway?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, like he comes in and he's like, before we begin, does anyone want to get out? Like he's gonna have one of those conversations.
Exactly.
Or just, son, don't. I know I'm pulling Captain America lines and everything, which he won't be in this case, but still, like he is absolutely gonna try and diffuse some of that with a look before he breaks out the black staff and tries his hand, but like Harry has taken out multiple, vassals at the same time. Like, McCoy is going to be ready for it. He's going to come in with his fucking invulnerability shield going because he's not an idiot and who knows what else, but Harry's like, I didn't even know you could use circles like that. And he's like, when you get to my age, you learn a thing or two. So
we did that without any single vampire being involved.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I didn't even think about that. What a shame,
Yeah. He's it's going to be a big fight.
The building was on fire, and yeah, it was my fault, Haas. What are you going to do about it?
The neighborhood was on fire. Like, we got the next great Chicago fire.
Yeah, it's like Chicago's already a wreck. What the fuck do I care if I break one or three more buildings?
Yeah, what's the venue? Right, they're going to bicker about that a lot. Laura's going to want it somewhere on her territory, and Harry's going to say no. He doesn't want to do it at Chateau Wraith.
You just do it in the castle. A castle is a perfect place for it. He's got the space.
The castle roof, maybe, protected. It's his territory. I don't hate that idea. Like, my first thought was the garden, but then I was like, that's kind of Titania's domain, so I'm not sure if that would make sense.
So the castle makes a lot of sense to me. One, it's Harry's domain, and two, that is where the bargain was struck, and also that is where the accords, the peace talks, happened. It is already a place where people are going to meet and have big discussions.
And three, he's the man. So if we're going by old world rules,
she has to move into that dingy old castle. Old, new, old.
I mean, whatever. She'll have a room there, but this is Laura. She's not.
No, it just gets to buck up against his, chivalrous nature again. Be like, well, you're the man, so I have to defer to you, even though she's smirking about it, not really deferring. Is he
going to carry her over the threshold?
Yeah, obviously. How else are you going to let her in past the wards?
Oh God!
Oh shit! Yeah, that's a big literal deal. Wow.
That's why a bunch of those old stories, I think, are disguised brides and grooms, so that they could carry them through themselves and invite them in.
That's wild.
This is great.
Look at this. We've talked about this 30 times, and we're still covering new territory. That's amazing.
This is why we are the premier people on the internet. And I don't just mean in this topic. I mean in general. I mean, we are the premier people on the internet.
I throw my hat in the ring for a few topics, but yeah. That's what she said. I think we're going for that. Yeah, I was like, that's a slam dunk. Didn't catch you while you were still had it in your mouth. We could have had a legitimate spit take, but also what he
that's
said.
What she said.
Yeah.
Oh man, whoops.
That's terrible. So anyway, sorry guys. We're just this is us.
Named this title "Sex Puns."
Yeah, right.
Well, the castle has a dungeon, and I mean, she's a white cord vampire, right? So I'm sure
it's not even the first time she's got it on in the dungeon. Let's be real. She's like,
"Are you kidding me?" She probably loves that place.
Well, I'm just saying this literal dungeon, right? Because she was seducing the guard and everything. So
that's true too.
Yeah. Yeah, she'll definitely be the one to have those coy, dirty quips about Harry, this reminds me of that time, and he's like, well, shut up. It doesn't remind me of the time, so.
Yeah, and she's definitely
Boy,
got some like thorn manacles, but fun time version.
I have such terrible thoughts.
Jeez.
Uh, are they are is Mab going to insist on a witness?
Fuck
Right.
yeah, and you know who's gonna have to witness it? It's gonna be Molly.
Molly.
Ah, jeez, guys.
I'm so sorry.
I'll be in my bunk, so like
So will they, conveniently.
I can live with that once.
It's going to be horrible. I assume Michael will be there. I don't know if anyone else
Like at the
from department-
consummation or
possibly.
or the wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bet on
He'll
Michael
be the
being
guy
best man is
outside
pretty
making
good.
sure nobody tries to like break in and murder them.
Yeah.
So like literal night, him and Butters and Sonia.
I would say
Sure.
Billy and Georgia, William and Georgia would definitely be there. Their own wedding was fucked with. They are very paranoid about it.
Ooh, I like
And their
that.
little girl would probably be the flower girl, right?
No, maybe Lacuna. Come on. So she's just throwing
So
teeth
Toots the
out.
ring bearer.
You know Dresden's got his own
Yes.
little girl to like be a flower girl, right?
Very good point.
That's true.
But
Fine.
he would probably try to keep her away. I'm guessing, as exciting as a wedding is, he doesn't want Maggie anywhere near these people.
Just to give credit. So
Yes,
Toot will be
thank
the
you.
ring bearer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jonathan, good job. I dig it, you know. Like, I mean, the little people are going to be there in force, right? Shit, they're running security, or at least part of it, because they are literally the Zalord's guard. So,
If Laura falls for Harry throughout this book, like actually
When,
does,
not if. When.
sure, whatever.
thank you.
Thomas already said that she has a ring-shaped scar from touching the wrong wedding ring from someone.
Yeah.
If it is actually a token of love at some point when exchanging, she might get burned from it.
Maybe. I mean, it's the 21st century. Maybe they do some kind of token and then she gets one tattooed. Like, you know, I don't know. So,
Sorry.
So she would have a permanent love scar on her, and it just burns her every day.
like, I don't know. Is that how that would work? Like, you know, if you hand her a picture of a wedding ring, does it burn her? Like, you know, so.
No, it would have to be. I think the physical. Just a tattoo is funny because a tattoo is like a seal or a scry or some. You know, you could. Right. It would have a connection much more, and it would be permanent and on her at all times.
They're literally bound at that point. Harry's like, "Oh, I can use that circle for some things." So for some protection magics or
using a wedding ring as a circle
spells
for magic, that would be hilarious.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like we're talking wedding rings, but I mean, like the dress could be a symbol and all of this other stuff. So, like, you know, she's in legitimate danger if she catches real feelings for Harry is the thing. But would it be able to burn her and all of those things before they consummate? You know, so like that would be the loophole. You know, so
of course she's going to wear white,
right? I mean, she's a white court vampire.
Exactly.
Even though she doesn't match the purity of the intended symbolism. But yeah, like
that's really, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's like a silverish, you know, like one of those, like it's platinum, you know, or white gold. You know,
she's gonna go white, like 0.0001 hexadecimals.
Yeah, like I didn't know you could get that white. Like this isn't eggshell. This isn't, you know, like
porcelain.
Some adjacent. Yeah, it is white. So supernaturally white. That would be a thing Dresden would say. So
I wonder if she'll break out the old Rolls Wraith again for their whatever getaway vehicle.
For sure. She's got an old timey, you know, limo, or Mab does.
Or the tricorn comes back.
Okay. And Harry ties a bunch of Coke cans to the back of it, you know, as the just married, like, jingling thing.
Of course.
Of course. So, I guess in terms of, if we're going to just keep speculating about this and Laura, if my guess is that whatever birthday gift that she gives Dresden is going to be some
I
form
would
of
never
turn
do
of
that
him.
to McCoy.
Yeah. It was a great
Yeah.
idea. So
So if Halloween is enough time for him to start seeing her as a potential friend instead of an enemy, um, what next thing is she going to give him a Christmas gift?
sure.
She
Yeah.
almost has to, right?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, once you've crossed the birthday stage, then, like uh, it just makes sense. They would at least do something. I don't know. They're adults. They don't necessarily
Oh
need to
yeah, they
exchange
would.
gifts, but right. So
Yeah, she'll go
she
over to
just shows
Michael's
up wearing
for
a bow.
Christmas dinner. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to be in public. They can't just hide away in the castle or the chateau. They have to be seen doing
Ooh,
things.
Christmas at the castle. That would be fun.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
Harry spent Christmas at the Carpenters.
Yeah, that was this past Christmas. This is going to be new Christmas.
No, because that Christmas was right after Battleground, Christmas Eve.
Right.
Right. So that Christmas Eve takes place in the middle
Oh,
of
so we're
12 months.
assuming that that is going to be part of this?
Yes, I assume that 12 months is going to start like July 1st, right after Battlegrounds. And so the other small stories are going to just be references. And Christmas Eve is going to be one of them.
Well, we would have to start post whatever that last short story was.
Fugitive.
I think.
I don't think so.
Yeah. The problem is like so like I agree with you. I would think that it would have started at least after like Good People and that Christmas and
Well,
whatever.
yeah, and
But
and the mouse short story that just happened. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that we just saw post with Harry
right.
wallowing.
But there's no chance that I imagine Mab's going to give them a 6-month grace period on the year that she wanted in the first place is the problem. So that
That's true
is
too.
the story is going to have to start like if it's meant to be the 12 months after peace talks and it's meant to mostly cover the 12 months that she like Harry and Laura are courting, that's going to start immediately, like
Mhm.
there
And we saw
Mab
in
the grace
little
period
things.
was the year. So not
Yeah.
6 months in a year.
But we saw in I think it was little things, little people, the toot toot one, that Will was already talking about the next date essentially. Like they're moving on. Like they have to do something every month. It was either one had already happened or one was about to happen.
Right.
Yeah, so there'll
And
probably be
well,
vague references to the events that happened in these short stories as time goes on.
Yes.
They just won't be the
hold
Yes.
on a
focus.
second. In the law, they were still meeting with the lawyers, weren't they? Was it the law where he talked about his day and how Mab and Lara's lawyers were still arguing about something? So,
I think there was also a reference there. It could be that the law happened way quicker than we were expecting. I was expecting like August or September, but if it happened July, then that also fits.
Well, I mean, it didn't really specify. I mean, there was still active, like, construction rubble right there when he was running away from that bear totem thing.
Yeah.
So it's, obviously that could take a while to clean up because a lot of shit got wrecked, but it seemed like it was pretty close to right after. Because, I mean, he was still, like, in the immediate throes of all his feelings about what was going on.
Yeah, it was the first real bit of him getting out of the malaise and doing something that was helping someone else, which was helping him. My mind went to a slightly different topic. I do wonder what the White Council is going to think about the whole thing. It's like, obviously, monsters marrying monsters, these aren't good things. But are they going to try to stop it from happening? Are they going to try to attack at any point?
If they wanted that, they should have not kicked him out.
Right.
Because as much as they are arrogant and want to have it all ways, they can't actually have it all ways. You kicked him out. He's not a wizard anymore. So all you have is the purview of the general laws. And this breaks none of them.
Right. But they might do the very annoying thing of just we're watching you, and any little slip up, and we will attack it at
Yeah,
any
that's fine.
point.
You could have Ramirez show up and be a dick again, and then Harry can shoot him in the face, and then I'll be happy.
And then Molly's going to have to be there to stop Ramirez again.
That would be funny.
Yeah, it would. Maybe then Harry will learn what happened to Ramirez and why he's so bitter and broken.
Nah, you don't kiss and tell.
Nah.
Because Molly's going to look away shamefully, and Ramirez is going to look bitterly, and there will be no words exchanged, but I could feel in the air the palpable tension between those two, and I knew there was a story.
Harry will get the very graphic picture from very uncomfortable looks.
Well, yeah, I could see Molly if she had to be involved with security and whatever, and she just shuts him down with a look because it's like, I already kicked your ass. I feel bad about it, but don't make me do it again. But yeah, I feel like
I kicked your ass and I didn't even know I was doing it.
Right. Like, so. Yeah, I feel like the White Council would have to have observers, and it just makes sense to send Ramirez in a team.
There's that. It also makes sense for the Black Staff to show up and be part of the ceremony, to just be observant and be able to act on anything that happens.
Right.
And protect his grandson.
Yeah, or kill him. So, like,
sometimes you got to kill someone to protect them.
Yeah, right. And Harry thought the same thing at the end of Cold Days, or not Cold, Changes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if Kincaid will be there. I assume Ivy will be.
Kincaid will be hired as like outside security.
Mm-hmm.
No, but
like,
what would Kincaid be doing?
So I assume Ivy will be there. Therefore, Kincaid will at least be watching. So I think that if Kincaid was brought in as security help, also maybe kill me again.
Kincaid's drunk in the back somewhere. He's got the sunglasses and the trench coat. Like, really, you couldn't find an actual disguise? Like, But yeah, I don't think Kincaid would have been, like, if he was invited, he wasn't expected. If that kind of makes sense.
Maybe.
I don't know,
but on a topic of what we almost talked about of characters we want to see again, is I did really like Kincaid, but also he's got to have words with getting Murphy killed. Like, Harry, of course, blames Rudolph and blames himself. And, well, sometimes when Murphy was with Kincaid, she got hurt. She, like, broke her wrist or something, but she didn't die.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's the real concern there is, does Kincaid take a whack at Rudolph?
Maybe.
Does Kincaid have an axe to grind? Like, did he have legit feelings, or did that ship already sail and he's like, well, that sucks. She was bound to get killed at some point anyway, I
was going to say, he's been around a good long time. I don't think he caught feelings like that.
I think he could have feelings as well as be practical about it, knowing that she was in a dangerous life. This is the kind of death that she would have chosen, similar to what Sigrun had said about, like, you don't get to take away the magnitude of what she accomplished just because she died. But I also think he can have an axe to grind and a gun to shoot.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Because, my first thought is that he's grieving over it, which is not a good thing for a hired killer, but
he's been grieving for a while.
Yeah.
But this is one he can actually act on. Ivy can take care of herself now, but he's still going to be watching her, but
allegedly.
He can act on revenge.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's certainly, I'd say that's like 60% likely in my head, where it's like better than half, but sure, there's other things. Like, he might be chill about it, like we've said, with the whole, like, it was a warrior's death and, we live in a dangerous job and whatever, but, the fact that there's like a personal focus item, like, it's extra awkward because does Harry try to step in and stop it? Like, who's going to save Rudolph because he's a dead man? Like, if Kincaid's involved, like, Kincaid's killed wizards and fallen angels. Like, that's just a dude. That's not even a challenge, so somebody's going to have to defend him or he's just done,
Right. So Harry had 2 Knights of the Cross to stop him.
Yes.
Kincaid's not going to have that.
Right. And even if he did, how much does that matter? You know,
it doesn't.
so yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How many Denarians did Kincaid take out? Granted, with a sniping position and a bunch of other stuff like
It was like
Kincaid,
2 or 3.
7 at least. I thought.
Yeah,
I don't think he took out
Kincaid's not
7.
an idiot, so
I don't know. I guess I have to do a reread. Oh well.
darn.
Yeah, I think it was more like 2 or 3.
Hmm.
Because they only lost,
The
what,
ones I have over
5
here.
in the aquarium, and Harry took out 1 with
It was
the
small favor,
tank.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I know when Tessa is talking about it, it's like, he took out so-and-so, and I think mentioned so-and-so also, and he's like, yeah, the Hellhound, he's hunted us before. So, yes, over the course of his life, I'm sure it's 7 or more. But in that place at that time.
Do you think, okay, so it'd be book 17, 18. What book are we on now? 18? God, I can't count anymore.
Yes,
Yeah,
12 months.
So it's
will be
not
18.
a Denarian book, but I
No.
guess I just had the thought of, would Nicodemus try to fuck it over anyway?
Nicodemus is wallowing. Would Tessa do it though, or what's their girlfriend?
Rosanna.
Like
Rosanna?
an R. Rosanna, yeah. So
Yeah, I don't think they give a shit.
right. But I mean, like, similar to the Marcone thing, are there other factions that have something to lose in this where they might take a whack at it? So
Maybe
like,
not lose,
Holland,
but if like the shambling corpse of Wild Bill came in as a Black Court vampire at the end of the ceremony, that would be fun.
he'd just get his ass blasted right back out the door. I'm not.
No, he's just
worried about
coming to
that,
offer creepy, toothy greetings to the new happy couple, and then he's going to leave.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there going to be a sense
to
of
the Black
no one
Court
gets to
sends a
attack each other?
representative? Yeah.
So, like, if a wedding, kind of like a peace talks, is meant to be like a sense of place of safety and no fighting up until someone crosses the line, and it's going to be like, who crosses the line first and actually makes everything blow up?
Right.
How many things are they going to have to just grin and bear of, like, this person is insulting me by giving me a gift, just like Bianca's party?
Well, I mean, yeah, it would be very much like the party. I imagine there would be a bunch of different attempts to undercut and wheel and deal and all, but.
And will Cal
I mean,
be
do
there?
all of the accorded members show up? So you've got the ghouls. That's a problem. That's a Harry level problem for them to just show up. The Black Court, there's a lot. Like, I don't imagine the Fomor send a representative after what recently happened. I don't think they're
All of the
even
many
that
things.
brazen.
No, I think it would be safe to assume everyone that was at that little conference at the end would have a representative. I think would be a safe
right
assumption. I don't think the Black Court will be there unless it's to be like a Mavra thing, just kind of creepily doing their own whatever.
And somehow Mavra is going to be involved in Mirror Mirror, he said, so. Ooh.
Right. Yeah. Mavra is the fairy godmother in this case,
I do hope Leah is involved. I miss Leah a lot.
Mavra is the Maleficent.
Yep.
Like, why didn't you invite me? You invited everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Leah's going to be doing couples counseling. Obviously, she's going to be their support system.
Have you tried biting him?
And actually, she's talking to Harry in that instance, not even Laura.
Yeah. Oh God. Maybe Laura or no? Yeah, Leah will be involved with the bachelorette party.
Oh man.
No, Molly's got to run that too.
Yeah, it's gonna still have to be Molly.
Yeah, Molly's gonna run it. I'm like, can they keep Leah away? Is my first thought, because like, I don't know.
Could they? Maybe, but why would you want to? She seems like she'd be
fun.
Yeah, she would be
fun. Look, man, if everybody's not turned into hellhounds by the end of it, what are we even doing here? So
okay, I didn't have a wedding when I got married. How far out are you supposed to do the bachelorette parties from the wedding itself? Because
I mean, I don't think there's a set time. Some people do it. Some people do it a week before. Some people, I'm sure, do it the weekend of. But I think most people do it a couple months before.
A lot of people do them like budding up to the event, right? They do like the night before.
But Like,
Yeah.
is that going to be a month out? Is that going to be one of the? I mean, it's got to be an event, right?
Well, yeah, I think I gotta imagine that would be part of it. I gotta imagine that if Laura is serious about the wedding, that she would want something like that to happen. But I mean, Molly might do it if it's procedural and because we just like beating up on Molly this book, apparently, but it makes
Oh yeah.
more sense for a friend of Lara's or her sisters to run it. So, and of course, there's going to be male strippers because,
No, it
if
makes
they're
sense
wanting
for
to court
Thomas to run
vampires.
it, but he's a little busy.
Well,
Who's going to
Thomas
be
would
the
be
maid of
doing the
honor?
bachelor party, really, but
Who's going to be the maid of honor? Is that again Molly? Because she's making it happen.
Molly's
no,
doing
she's
everything.
the
She's
job.
officiating and maid of honor and best man.
No, I don't think Molly can
right?
officiate.
Like, you,
I mean,
you
there's something
guys gotta
about Molly
decide.
officiating that it's just not gonna. Like, it doesn't. I mean, it's funny, but I don't think it's gonna be someone who's much more official. So I lean towards like either Mab herself, Ivy, or Father Forthill. But then, of course, you would make it Catholic, and that would be very awkward. But it's funny, like, whatever. But like the job of
Goodman Gray.
I hope he'll be there at least. The
Right.
job
And
of
he
maid of
morphs
honor
into the Pope.
Right.
Yeah, they're supposed to
Still
help
Catholic.
make
got
it
him.
happen. That's literally what she's going to be doing.
Right.
And then I assume the rest of them would just be Lara's sisters if they're ambulatory.
Rough. That's too soon. It's been like 10 years and that's still too soon. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a whole other episode arguing about who's in the wedding party in which capacity, right?
Which
Because
we've done several of, but I'm still going.
yeah, Thomas would have absolutely been the best man, except that he's literally on ice out of pocket. So I think that's where it's going to fall to Michael or one of the other knights.
So best man
know.
Michael and maid of honor Molly. Carpenters.
Oof. I mean, maybe it's interesting because in some wedding ceremonies, like they get paired off too, right?
Right.
Like even if they're not like a couple or whatever, you still, yeah. So that would be interesting to have her in the wedding party on the other side. But like Lara picks the wedding party, so unless Mab comes in and like puts her foot down or something, or Molly and Lara have a girl bond at some point, I don't really see that. Like,
No, it'll end
Justine
up being
would have been there,
Freitas
except
just
that
to
she's
piss off
kind
the
of,
director.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Can Sigrun
But-
be in Harry's side then?
No.
Oh. She could
If not,
she looks
Sigrun,
great in
her
a suit.
sister.
Yeah, but she's working for Marcone and or Vatarung. She's not
Marcone will
involved in
probably
this.
be there.
Okay, so she could be his date. That doesn't make her part of the wedding party.
Right. She's there for his personal security. Like, I don't imagine anything else. Like Sigrun has a soft spot for Harry, obviously, but I don't know if it goes that far. Like,
I mean, of course, she's going to give a gift of mead, right, for the honey.
I think it's more like she's found his soft spot, so she knows where to stick the dagger. But yeah, no, I don't think she has a problem with him these days.
Mac better be the caterer.
I think they're going to do a little bit, he's out. He doesn't do these sorts of things. They're probably going to hire
They're not trying
someone
to get
else.
him involved in something more than he would.
This is something. Come on. These are Winter and White Court. You don't want. He's out. No.
They all want steak sandwiches and beer.
No, they don't. Only Harry wants that. Nobody else wants that.
Mac is catering. Is that
that's
what
my
doing?
assertion.
Yeah.
Yes, that Mac is going to cater.
I'd be okay with it. So
he might do
Is that
something at like
marketing?
the cocktail hour. Like he'll have a barrel.
If Laura really loved him, she'd do it. She'd somehow have like people pick up Burger King and bring it in. Be like, yes, we're doing a burger.
Give him a crown.
So yeah. But a very princely wedding with Harry and his Burger King crown.
Right. So in these months, what's going to happen Valentine's Day?
They're going to cry about Thomas because that's when he was born.
Of course. But what are they going to do? Are they going to go down a love tunnel?
They're going to have to go have dinner or something, right? That's a public thing to do.
Maybe beer or something in front of people.
I don't think. Ooh, see, like that could be a good conflict where like Harry is there to fulfill the duty, and Laura is trying to actually make inroads, and she gets her feelings hurt because
Exactly.
she's making an effort and he's not, because that's going to be way too soon for him.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it'll have been like 7-ish, 8-ish months, but
But I mean, of course they will talk about Thomas. Of course they will bond. They will be vulnerable to each other and be sweet to each other at the same time. It's going to
maybe.
it
Then somebody will
Okay.
take a shot at them
But-
during
Right.
the dinner.
who will take a shot?
The Fulmar will not.
TBD until the end of the book.
King Corb comes in with a 6-month-old beard, and Mickey like trying to shoot him or something, so the Fulmar are going to take a whack at him sometime, somewhere, just insert it, but like, oh, you
Or maybe like an uppity
restaurant.
warden.
Now's our time to strike. Like they go to Red Lobster and try to off Harry. So
The cheddar biscuits were on fire, and it wasn't my
Navy
fault.
Pier, where it's really fancy and expensive, but it's right on the water, so
yep.
So that he can imprison people really quickly if he needs to.
Well, that's where the Fulmar
Like,
would
I missed
attack
you
too.
last time. Alfred got another one.
Then they kill the Fulmar, and then they become the sushi. It's perfect.
Nice.
It's what the author would do.
Right. Do we have to
better be there too.
contend? Do we have to contend with an outsider at some point?
Of course. At least the threat of them, the discussion of
Right.
them. And blood on his
because
soul,
it's like
right?
we kind of dealt with them a little bit.
Actually, yeah,
even
that
though-
would since he's fucking around still. I guess he could be the main guy in the shadows taking pot shots.
This so kind of like Molly's doing everything. Now I've got like an idea of like within 5 minutes you get like 5 different people kick in the door and be like, I object to the wedding, and then like they fight each other for the honor of fighting Harry. So you got Ebenezer fighting with blood on his soul, fighting with Shag Nasty, fighting with Marcone. It's just like they were like, dudes, take it outside. Like when one of you wins, then come back and talk to me. So
Meanwhile, Molly's just like silently cheering from the sidelines, like, yes, yes, yes.
But she has to make it happen. She is under orders that she cannot defy to
Right.
make it happen. Yeah, I
She
wonder
could
if the
just
Red
get-
Cap would be there, but the Red Cap's kid's name was Ace. And is he
He's
still
dead.
alive? He's
dead.
He died.
He died in cold days.
But the Red Cap, his little moment in Peace Talks was great. Of just like, yeah, you think you're so smart and you're so not.
yeah, Red Cap would be there because
He's running security.
yeah, I mean he'd probably be running the winter side of security anyway. So, but
Oh, of course, Riley would be there, the named goon from Laura's side that he was the one who showed up in jury duty.
Naturally.
Oh.
Maybe Hades comes topside for the first time in like 1,000 years. Just hang out.
Maybe brings Persephone with because it's summer.
Sure, why not?
Ooh.
Maybe he brings his dog with, so that Mouse has someone to hang out with.
Yes. Oh, Mouse is going to be the best man, right?
They have a puppy daycare. So
Yeah.
yeah. Mouse as the ring bearer, obviously. Like,
Well,
2 riding Mouse. Can we do that? Like we'll have
Yeah.
them both. So. Sorry to say, guys, I think we got a couple more episodes to get through all of this. So
Yeah, there's tons more speculation. We've done several of these already, and it just kind of continuing on until we get more content. And then when we do get more content, it just gives us more of a grounding for more speculation. So that's all we're going to do until the book is actually in our hands.
So you're welcome, everyone.
now.
But hey, I mean, we got the hour out of this, and clearly more to go. So maybe next time the Swede will actually join us.
Yeah. All right. Next week we're going back to Lord of the Rings, I believe.
I'm
Okay.
kind of glad in the sense that I'm like, I made it through the Battle of Pelennor Fields and like a chunk of the aftermath, but I don't think I finished book 5. So I was like, crap, but I got time. I got a week to read like a chapter or whatever is left. So
let's see if this is possible. All right, we're going to discuss book 5, which is the first half of Return of the King, next week for the while we weren't recording, and then we'll probably come back to more merge speculation.
That doesn't sound like us.
No, if anyone has a better topic, send them our way.
Right?
How dare you? This was a delightful show.
It was delightful. In our own way of being chaotic.
You don't need to add any sort of modifiers to it. Just, it was delightful. That's it.
It was delightful.
You don't need to, but probably should. You know.
No, no.
To be
If
completely
the
honest.
people are still watching us at this point, they know what we're about.
Yeah, that's true.
Fair.
And everyone who's been sticking with us this long, we love you all.
Yeah, so pay us more money, please.